Morning. Still coughing. It's been 2 weeks of this one. Hard to know whether it's a genuine seasonal flu. Probably. But, emotional stress or radionics, EMF, the 1,000 times stronger than our grandparents. Scrambling our brains, as well as the changing magnetic field of the planet, of course. Just a little thing. The atmosphere. Climate change. Oh my God. I think it's a wonderful satanic dialectic, this climate change narrative, which seems to be a religious tenet of modern Kiwis. The Satanists that are selling us the black goo from under the earth, when there's a lot of other ways to generate energy, are also blaming us for the condition that is actually naturally occurring because of the sun and the solar system and where we are in the spins and orbit cycles of various wobbles and whatnot. So no doubt we're spoiling our own nest through being ignorant savages who are getting programmed by slave masters. But we're also blaming ourselves, which is like just brilliant, I mean, if I was a poor kid from a state housing project with domestic violence and pedophilia at me and mind control, and abduction and threats of extinction, from an early age, and constant unrest and stress through deprivation and abandonment and isolation, in some kind of colonial gulag at the end of the world, where, the native people have always had it worse than you, who, got born into jail, under some kind of mind control, emotional rape scenario called motherhood, feminist motherhood. Basically sort of soul captive purgatory. If I was born into that situation, I might be an artist. And say, fuck y'all. What is the divine spark that we have? What is art? What is imagination? What is consciousness? What is even the awareness of the darkness? What is the awareness of the trouble? Where does that come from? What is this thing that keeps talking to me about himself and his environment and his imaginary fucking ideas about it? Are they true? Cat's just looking around a little bit disturbed at the primate making noises. Don't blame her. Biochemical soups, eh? There is a still space. There is a field of consciousness. The very tenets of our occult scienceism, current agenda civilizationally, grinding us into atomized chunks of programmable body parts, was built by head occultists who David Bohm, Newton, all these people, have said Oppenheimer, very clearly that there is, within their higher abstract reasoning, I am not citing them as some kind of priest class that I adhere to, but even the cornerstones of the rationalist Darwinian model that most people ascribe to, Darwin being a sponsored Satanist, of course, or in other words, a slave master's theological bitch, because that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Satanism. We're talking about the rule of the few over the many, and while they are, acting as God on behalf of everybody else's divine spark, yeah. So those mystic scientists all had something to say about the ineffable, about consciousness, the living cosmos. And the ancients knew this too. I think it's palpable in every soul, actually, in anyone that feels and thinks. There are lucid moments in between when we're not in our minds. Everything is alive, and yeah, there is a consciousness that permeates all, regardless of whether we're in temporal, whether we're alive in a time. The heart is timeless. The heart is timeless. The heart is timeless. So I mean, we're not from here. Like this is some kind of inversion or purgatory or some kind of hell realm that we're pretending is nice, and it's more of it is the cave. It is Plato's cave, and we chain each other up and pretend it's real. So, yeah, the shadows are there. The cave is real. And, yeah, so anyway, art, right, might be some kind of self-reflective, self-knowledge gnosis process. I mean, the thing about being got at when I was pretty young by, parasitic entities in this realm. And I mean that quite severely. I mean, whether I can call it my father, born-again Christian cripple, yeah, psychologically abusive man, at war with his woman, who was at war with the world already when they met. This whole thing's just socialised war from the get-go. Born into that and, attacked by the cunt, protected by a worse cunt, but actually had palpable out-of-body experiences and saw entities. Had some lucid ability to exit my body through, terror. And maybe not terror either, maybe actually just a natural spiritual joy. Natural spiritual joy. Natural spiritual joy. Natural spiritual joy. A lot of kids can do flying. I think most mums would know that about their kids, if they were vaguely aware of their kids' inner lives at all. I seem to be reliving my childhood. I'd spend all my time making vessels of flight, spaceships, and usually spaceships, I've got to say. They corrupted my imagination with their military models when I was quite young. But the essential sort of thrill of the sci-fi realm is that sort of celestial flight, I think. I think that's what the soul kind of remembers. Yeah, so that was, that's turned into military hardware and mythological tropes. But yeah, so no one really cares about your space flight. No one really cares about your soul flight. Certainly not if you're a working mother who has to go and do pickets for working men. To earn her crust, being a good bloke. Yeah, so I think what I'm saying is no one gives a fuck about your art, and it was the same when you're a kid, and it's the same when you're an adult, and you know, it's like, yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I mean, they only give a fuck about it if it's in like shiny temple, and then they want to know how much it's worth, because people are stupid fuckwits. They don't actually understand that there are souls trying to work out the big picture and deal with their own pathologies, or why that would be important. They just want to call you an outsider. Well, fuck you. Like, I'm as good as a European philosopher. you know, New Zealand, you don't know shit. You know, fucking keep drinking your strontium and your DDT milk. Oh, let's end on a nice note, shall we, James? Yeah, your bloody estrogen milk. You know, I can get some testosterone. Get some will. You know, fucking do something. Modern women's Satanism and communist one world agenda surveillance state. Every lamppost got a fucking Wi-Fi butt plug on it. It's a synthetic controlled grid. It's what Steiner called Ahriman. Persian name for the devil. Satan. Ruler, Archon. Archon being a Gnostic, Coptic Greek Gnostic word, meaning sort of psychic parasite. Interdimensional. Like, look, yeah. I mean, we're infiltrated spiritually, and politics is a way of getting rid of the link with the divine by dumbing the herd down, by severing a sort of natural biological link with the cosmos. I'm not really into God as a deity, I think deities are sort of symbolic puppets. I'm probably more Taoist, I'm probably more animistic, but I don't mind the word God. I think God's a good idea, as a sort of shorthand. No, I don't subscribe to any particular cultural reference to the Almighty. Although, going back to scientism, saw this lovely little new schematic that I think it was on a YouTube channel called Suspicious Observers, which is a science-based sort of research around the sun and like these geomagnetic anomalies going on across the systems. And anyway, there was a new model of the known universe based on that new super telescope that they put up there. And gee and golly and golly and gee, it looks a lot like neural networks. It looks like a fucking galactic, more than galactic, it looks like a sort of universal mind, with these incredible clusters of super galaxies. It's not quite a human brain, but it's definitely got hemispheric sort of components. Yeah, and I mean, whoa, my little heart goes, oh wow, like as above, so below, like, so mind of the universe. I mean, I find it ridiculous that people don't think that the universe is conscious, because we're here. Like, there's not a separation. This idea of separation is, again, a satanic inversion. Like, there is no, it's a tool, it's a tool, but we there can't be a separation, because we're embedded in what we're observing. That there's no objectivity. Yeah, I mean, I am living God. That's what it is. I am living God. I mean, the Creator has, has loved me enough to allow me to exist as me, simultaneously as God. I mean, I don't need I don't need a ancient Middle Eastern name for that. It's just self-evident that the universe is a conscious entity, and I'm part of it. It's fractal, it's holographic. I'm not claiming super special powers because I've got the same rudimentary skill set that most of us dumb primates have. I'm certainly not saying that I'm more special, but I have spent a fair amount of time navel gazing around my own depressive cycles and resistances with my own programming. I'm not saying I'm not programmed. I've got as much mind control as everybody else, but I'm fucking aware of it. How much of your own clutter and bullshit are you aware of? And keep perpetuating, especially in this fake economy. How much cowardice do you people actually perpetuate? I wake up in the morning and go, my beef is that the only thing that I ever found sacred was creativity and art, aka my repressed male libido that I wasn't allowed, because I was a rapist when I was fucking 9, because all men are fucking rapists, right? So I'm allowed to do art, and I'm allowed to be an artist, but if you're actually honest and you're going for it just like the greats in history, well, you can't show it and you should shut up. And then we've got this, let's learn Maori language in New Zealand. I'm all for that. I think, I'm all, the lack of, the genocide to cultures, indigenous cultures through this planet is a heinous crime. Starbucks, McDonald's, the Catholic Church, get fucked. Get fucked. The education system, Microsoft, all these, monolithic, homogenizing monocultures are just soul destroying. They just want us as biobots. So, Maori language, yay. But when an individual learns their own language, their own inner language, and can actually string a sentence or two with that, they get fucking stood on. The locals stand on your throat and tell you that there's something wrong with you. Well, goddamn, there's something wrong with me. You cunts are standing on my throat. That's what's wrong with me. I might be New Zealand's best fucking artist who can't show in this country, and if he can, it's in a souvenir shop in Picton. There's nothing but fucking souvenir shops in this country. Who's showing art? Who's actually showing leading art? Tell you what, it's not coming out of Ilam or Elam. Fucking groomed middle class little preppies. Yeah. Oh well. God bless.